Greetings viewers, and welcome to my first attempt at a video series I'm creating geared towards aspiring Warhammer 40k players and brand new players that may not be sure where to go next. As the series progresses, I intend to get more in depth in the hobby, and perhaps even some veteran players can learn something new or useful. The first video you are currently watching will be geared more towards the aspiring player and help them decide if this hobby is for them or not. You're probably going to hear me say I'll cover that later a lot. Bear with me if I say it. I promise I'll get to it. Just give me some time. For now, there's three basic, yet I think still important topics that I want to cover with you to help you decide if this hobby is for you or not. These topics include the cost, the time involved, and the space. Probably the most important topic to consider when deciding if this hobby is for you or not is the cost. Not only are the models on their own expensive, but you're going to need quite a few of them to build up a decent sized army so that you can play a game. Included with the models, in order to play a game, you're going to need a few other items just to get started. These items will include the Warhammer 40k main rulebook, the individual army rulebook or codex for whichever army it is you choose. You're going to need dice, a tape measure, and templates. Now, with a basic model count for a small, decent-sized starting army, plus all the items I just showed you, it's probably going to be in the ballpark of about $250. Now, this does not include any of the hobby supplies you're going to need to get your army assembled and painted so that you can get them on the table to play that game. Don't let this scare you off. Like I said, price is just something you got to consider when jumping into this. So, what I'm going to do in another video after this one is I'm going to go over all the items I showed you, maybe some ways you can save some money by purchasing them in different places or ways to get them otherwise. Like all hobbies, 40k can take up a considerable amount of time depending on how much you want to put into it. There's actually two portions to the hobby. There's the modeling and painting portion, and then there's the actual playing of the game. Typically, the majority of us want our army to look good when we break it out for a game, so we take a little bit more time assembling, painting, and preparing our models, getting them ready for the game. So, depending on the size of the model and the level of detail you want to put into it, can take anywhere from a few minutes to several hours per model, having them the way that you want them to look so that you're happy with it. Later on in the series, I plan on getting to that portion where I show you how I assemble and trim up and paint my models so that they're at a quality where I can be happy with when I take them out. Also, keeping in with the time aspect as far as playing the game, keep in mind a single game can take several hours, especially if you're still new. You might have to stop every now and again, check a rule here, or check a stat on some of your units. So it'll take a little bit of time. Once you get used to it, it moves a little bit quicker. If you start getting into bigger games, such as the Apocalypse games, which incorporate a lot of people and a large point cost of models that are going to be on the table, or if you start playing tournaments, you can expect to spend an entire day to almost an entire weekend just playing Warhammer 40k. Once you've got your models assembled, painted, and ready to play, you're going to need somewhere to keep them and a way to transport them between your house, your hobby store, a friend's house, or tournaments if you ever get to that point. Chances are if you spend a lot of time and effort putting your models together and painting them to a high standard, you're not going to just throw them in a cardboard box, carry them around, and dump them out on the table whenever you're ready to play. There's a lot of options out there when it comes to army storage and transport. Some of them are cheaper than others, but I firmly believe you get what you pay for, and I don't mind spending a little bit extra to keep my stuff from being broken when I'm moving it around. In another video, of course, I'll go over two of the options that I use, and they actually cover kind of both ends of the spectrum. I've got a relatively cheap one and a rather expensive option that I'll, again, go over with you. Another part of the space concept is the actual area you're going to use to play the game. A standard size table for a regular game is 6 foot by 4 foot, and keep in mind this is just the actual playing area where the models are going to go during the game. You're still going to need some space off to the side to keep your models that are waiting to enter the game, models that have been removed from play, your dice, books, and my favorite, Monster. That about covers it for the three main points that I wanted to go over. I know it was very basic and perhaps it feels like I didn't give you much, but like I said, this is going to be a series of videos where each one will progressively build off of the last, and I'll go over in greater detail all the things I said I'd mention later, I promise. If you've made it this far, please feel free to like the video below if you found it even remotely useful, or please feel free to leave a comment below if you have any questions or possibly suggestions how I can make the videos better or more enjoyable for you as the viewers. Stay tuned for the next video where I'm going to go over helping you choose an army. I'll show you my workstation, and I'm going to cover all the tools and items that I said you would need in order to be able to play a game and assemble your models. Thank you for watching.